So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of these luminescent colours and I'm going to mix them up and make lots of different colours of resin. I might just do like a colour at a time rather than having, like, even though I've got the 6 sort of poured, rather than having 6 colours sitting there. I'm just not sure which way to do it actually. So we've got the colour here and we're just going to mix that into there. So the luminescent should glow almost like fluorescent. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do that purple heart. That looks pretty. So we'll do that in a luminescent. And, I do actually want to do some of these little beads in some of these different colours, because just I'd really like to have a whole selection of beads in lots of different colours. So the only problem with the beads is that it's very hard to fill because they're very small molds, but that's to be expected, I suppose. Well, and then I'm just going to end up with a nice stockpile of beads that I can make lots of things with. What I'm doing here is I am actually trying to try out all these colours I've got. And I mean, this will go on for a while. I have a lot of different colours. So we will actually end up finding out a lot of colours. But today we're starting with these luminescent ones. And so we're just going to see what sort of colours we've got going on with that. So they have a colour, just in case you didn't know. Let's go to some pink. So just going to get a little scoop. So I'm just using sort of like a little scoop there, not too much. So we'll get our dotting tool and we're just going to poke into there. The problem is that there is a sort of lip on that. So trying to get the resin into that small area is proving a challenge, but we will get there. Okay, just clean up our stirring stick. Right, so we want another colour. So let's go with a blue. So again, we've got the blue. We're just getting about probably half my little tiny spoonful, and then we're just putting it into the resin. And then get it, pick up our stirrer, and we begin mixing it all in again. So again, just mix it all in. Make sure you get all of that powder dissolved into that resin. So I sort of do this, sweep down the sides, stir into the middle, scrape off the stirrer. I'll actually use a lighter to take out some of these bubbles. Okay, just bear with me a moment. We have to try and get that down into there. Oops. And some over into the cat. Just put it down the body area. Okay, and we forgot to do a little one here, so we'll just do one of those. Right, now let's do an orange. Sorry, a necklace charm thing. We're going to pour a bead and put some in our cat and try and get it up into his legs. Orange feet. Right, now let's go to a yellow. Okay, so yellow. Okay. Might do one of those. And one of those. And some of the cat. So I've got 2 more little jugs of resin. Oh, actually 3, because I've still got some in the original mixing container. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a clean. Made a bit of a mess with the yellow, but then we need a green. So let's go with a green. Just grab over there. Get some green. We've still got 3 whitish coloured ones, which I doubt that they're all going to be white. So you can sort of see here. So I'm not sure what those are going to be. So we're going to probably have to try those out at some stage. We've got another 2 sort of orangey pinky colours. And then we've still got another pink. So they're the colours that we still haven't used yet, but we've only got 2 more mixes of resin. So we'll definitely have to try 1, if not 2 of those whites, just to see what they actually are, because we don't know. And so I'll do a green one. We'll do a green bead. Or 2. Whoops. Kind of missed that one, didn't we? And just tap that back over to there. And some of the cat. He's nearly full. As to whether we're going to have enough to actually... yeah, we've still got 2 more, so we should have enough to fill him up. It's going to be interesting to see what he looks like when he's done. I don't know why I've decided it's a him, but we have. Okay, so now let us try a whitish coloured one. So we've got the greeny white and then a whitey white. So let's try the greeny white. Right, now I'll just move this over to here. I'm going to move these up a bit just so that you can see. Right, let's try this and see what we get. Okay, that's our mixer. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. It's kind of a creamy white, perhaps. It's not much of a colour in there. But I suppose the thing is that these are supposed to be luminescent, so hopefully it'll illuminate. Oops. And into the cat. Okay. Oh, I just spotted. There's a little something in there. Right. Okay, so last one for colour. We will go with the white, I think. Yes, it's quite a bit in there, so we will hold that for now. And we'll fill it up some more later. Right, so we've got quite a bit of this, so we will go with this one here. Oop. And we will go with that. I do like these beads, but they're the hardest thing to do. We want to fill up our cat. This should definitely fill him up. Let's get into that here. Okay. Right. Still have quite a bit left, so we will spin this round, I think, and aim for the big heart. Actually, I didn't do yellow. Okay, so let's get this and mix into there. No, I will stick with the white. Just going to move that over there. Bring this down here a bit so that I can get in there and pour this in. I might put this pink in it, I think, because it is just white, so we're just going to add pink. Which will give us another colour out. Oh, that's a nice pink. So add in there. Oops. My stick is actually dripping onto the project, which isn't very helpful. Okay, I just need to get that pink off that green if I can, and it doesn't look like I can. There we go. Just gonna try and fill that up some more. As you can see, as I said, it's very messy. I don't like it for that, but I do love the outcome, so I have to try and cope with it being messy. But I do like messy. Right, it's just a little bit there, so we'll just do, what will we do? I'll do a square bead. So, right, let's just clean that up a bit. Alright, okay, so we've mixed up some more resin. Now we're just going to, I've put the colours in, I just need to mix the colours into the resin. And then pour them into the moulds. Now what I've done is I've done the 3 colours that we hadn't already done, but I've left quite a bit of resin in my big pot because I'm going to pick my favourite colour, which will probably be the purple, just because I like purple. So the pinks are looking pretty good. And I'm going to make a cat out of that colour, just because I want a full coloured cat. So we're just going to pick that one. You can see this is another orange, so that we do already have an orange there, but this is obviously a slightly different, more sort of pinky orange. But we'll just see. I think I'm going to end up running out of my bead molds because I don't want to have them sort of too close and mixing up. So I've got some little molds here. They're just like little teddies, bunny rabbits, little wings and things like that. So we're just going to add some of the stuff into here. So let's do a pinky coloured teddy. Let's get the stirring stick, just scrape it out. If we don't get all of it in, we could always use some of the other colours that we're going to be doing as well, just to top it off. So we'll just get as much of that as we can. Go up into the ears. Okay, I think that's as much out of that as I'm going to get. So whilst I was mixing up the resin, I also just ran the lighter over some of these, just so that it got any of those bubbles sitting on the top off. Because a lot of them the bubbles had resin up to the top, so which is good. That's where we want the bubbles to be. Those air bubbles, they're a pain in your designs, but if you can get them to come to the top, then you can just use that long neck knot lighter and just pop the bubbles that way. Go up on there. Just try and get that into there. Whoops. Come on. Just get my okay. Just clear some of that around. Right, and one of these. Now, last one to mix, and then we make the big selection of colour. So this was another one that looked white, so we'll see how we go with this. Let's just see what one. We'll just do that. Yeah, it's still just, it's, I don't know. I don't know about the whites. I mean, they're just white. But we'll see. We'll make some wings. That's what we'll do with the white. Out of all of these colours, minus the yellow, because I didn't put a yellow in here, maybe I should put a little bit of yellow in now. There's a thought. I'm going to steal some of this, even though it's very bubbly. I'm going to steal some of that. I'm going to... I've probably stolen too much, but that's okay because we've now got this little mould here that we'll be able to add the yellow into, just so that we can have a pendant shape for each colour. And we forgot to do the yellow, so just going to mix up some yellow now. We did yellow beads, but we didn't do the yellow pendant shape, and we want to get a good idea of all the colours. And I think the pendant shape is going to be the better way to do that because it's going to be larger than the little beads. So we're going to want to get the yellow in there to get that good idea. So I think we'll do one of the round ones. These shapes, I've got the bezel backs for them, or you can just put a clasp on them, or you can use them in different projects. I mean, they're just going to be handy things that you can use anyway, but I'll probably, I mean, it depends on what these look like because they are just plain colours at the moment. So it's not like I've mixed colours up to make a great, amazing sort of design or anything like that. The best one to do with these sorts of things, of course, is to do your 3D bloom type things. So that's something that I will probably do a bit later. I'll use some UV resin and I'll make some, I've got a second tray of these. So I'll make some up in the UV resin and we'll just see if we can get some 3D bloom colours going. Colour. You know, I really am tending to go for that purple. And a purple cat would be pretty. So guess what? We're doing purple. We'll probably do other colours at another stage. It is just that I just have a tendency to really like purple. So purple wins out. I'm going to see, hopefully we've got more than enough to do the cat and maybe some of these teddies and bunnies and stuff. Or just depends. I'm not sure how much this cat takes because of course we used bits of everything from the other colours to make the first cat. So I will make some sort of metallic-y ones and things like that. So we're just going to give it a go. And oh yes, definitely got enough. And then some. So there we go. Okay, so let's try another little teddy. Let's just try and hold that down there. The bunny rabbit. May as well do all the teddies, I think. Alright, that's that, and we will try the axolotl because we really do have a lot of this stuff. Oh, he's going to be hard because we need to get it into his little feet. They're off the side here. I'm not sure how he's going to do it coming out of the mould because of the little feet. They seem very fine. But we'll see. Can all but try. I mean, it's the first time I've used a lot of these moulds. So the last thing we're going to do before we finish this up for the day is we're just going to run the lighter over it. And then we're just going to have to leave it all and then take it out of the moulds tomorrow. So we'll just do that now and I'll catch you tomorrow. So, okay, on that note, I will see you all later. Okay, so whilst we wait for our epoxy resin to dry for the next few hours, I thought we might do some UV resin. So just gonna put about 3/4 to a third, so we're not completely filling it, UV resin into some of these. Then we're just going to put some drops. So that's a reddish brown. Actually almost looked like a it's a gold. This is a ruby red. We're definitely going with ruby red. So we need to give them a good shake. So they've been sitting for a while. And then just ruby red will be a heart, of course. So I'm just going to put a drop in a few spaces. Okay, so there we go. This is Pinata Beige Blue. So we'll just drop in there. Okay, now what I want to do is just going to add drop that in there. Drop that in there. I'll just fill up maybe this one, or not fill, but you just add some resin into these ones. Just gonna put more on that one. Right, so what will we do? What's this? This is deep golden. Okay, we'll try that as well. They don't seem to be as bright, and they don't seem to sort of go too well, as you can see with the brownie colour there, but that gold seems to have worked well. I suppose it just depends on how well, maybe I didn't shake the brown well enough, so maybe I should go back and add a bit more just to see about that. Okay, so I'm just adding drops of colour. I don't want to try and get it like to amalgamate, if you know it. I don't want it to sort of turn into like a muddy mess. So we're just trying to get what we can from the. All of these are the same. They just put a pin into the tops. Come on. Okay, so we will find that brown again. Is that it there? Reddish brown. Yeah, I don't think that is mixed quite well enough. There we go. That seems to be well and truly mixed. Even the gold you can see is now coming away, so maybe it is just the alcohol ink itself. So we've got those there, and then we've got some white. Now this white is the Pinata Blanco Blanco, but I've actually put alcohol into it, more alcohol into it to make it lighter. So if you can see, we're just putting a few drops to just and hopefully on the other side of these it will change that up a bit. Now I'm just seeing there's a drop there, so I'm just going to put the white in there just to clear that empty space basically. So let us now put this under the UV lamp and see how we go. So if you put it under your UV lamp, your UV resin, and it doesn't set, just keep going with the timer, just keep adding to it so that it sets. So here we go with the teddy bear. Depending on the size of things, it just means that some things need a bit more time than others. So you just have to keep going with it. So I just I want to get all that out of there as much as possible because we're just a bit short on the mold. Sitting there, it's not the mold itself is not filled right to the top, so we're just going to put a bit of clear over the top, just gently so that we don't get too many bubbles. The clear may actually drop down to the front. Actually, now looking at that, I'm just going to get my dotting tool. I'm just going to swirl it a bit, see if we can basically mix that in. Okay, just move that a little bit there. Right, just chuck the teddy under there. Is only half of them under, but we'll get there. So what I'll do is I will keep doing these off camera and then come back. Okay, let's see how these have come out. 2 didn't work. This is one of them. I'm not sure what happened. The resin, for some reason, the colours didn't quite set in it. I still think it might be okay because I'm going to be putting this on like a pendant thing, so I might still be okay with that, but it just didn't set for some reason, whereas these ones have set. So we've got the heart. I'll just put them down here. We've just got a little pendant there. This one here. And then that one there. So there, oh sorry, and the little teddy bear is there. So I'm sort of hoping for a bit more. We've set some here, just some plain sort of ones here, but I'm going to see if I can, sorry, just some light coming in there. Just some plain ones here that I'm just going to see if I can try again with a bit of the resin to try and get those to work. I've also, sorry, they're sticky. I've also got some bezels here that I've put on the paper to see if I can work those as well. So let's try with the bezels. I'm just going to put a few drops into, I'm just going to drop those in there, and we're just going to move with our, see there's a big bubble there, we want to pop that. I'm just going to move it into all those little fine areas. So then we've got the teacup, the handle, whatever that is there. Okay, so at the moment I'm just doing clear, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and drop some alcohol inks in. So we'll soon see how well I've sealed these. A, by if the UV resin starts coming out the bottom, and B, if I put some alcohol ink in, is it going to start coming through the other areas as well. This one here, the clasp is in the wrong place on it. See how these other ones, the clasp are flat? That one, the clasp is side on, and it means that it sort of sits up a bit. So I've tried to cut the tape in order to sit it in there a bit easier, but I'm just not sure I've got a good seal on it. Hopefully it has, and we'll be able to go from there. Right, now, what colours will I do? This is the big question we have here. So what have we got? We've got orange. Well, I think our fox can be orange. So I'm just going to just something like that. I think that looks quite neat actually, even if I do say so myself. So this one is magenta. So I think we'll do a drop of magenta if I can up in there, and then What else have we got? Purple. Well, we know I love purple, so passion purple. We're going to try and put in the teacup. Oh, it's going over into that second one, but that's okay because I think that is part of the teacup. Beige blue, I'm not sure on. What else have we got? Black. Well, I don't know about that at this stage. Gold, a goldy colour. Where have we got? That's yellow, I think, isn't it? Yes, bright yellow. Well, the star is going to have to be bright yellow, isn't it? Oh. Just waiting for that drip. There it is. Okay, now I can find a green. There it is. Forest green. Now what I want to do, and this is going to be a hard bit here, is I'm going to try and get a drop into there and into there. Right. Okay, so just going to get that off there. The fox, however, has come out beautifully. So there you go. Look, that's just all overflowed there. I thought that was going to because, as I said, this coupling here, it sits wrong and you can't actually get that to sit right because of it. So that's going to require some work. And oh, here it goes. It's going over. Okay, so I might just see if I can push that back down. Not really. Okay. So I've just got a couple of things here that I'm just going to try some things out with. Let's see what we've got in here. Just that into there and see how that goes. Okay, so we should put these under the UV light and see how we go. Okay, so it turns out that it might have been a problem with my UV lamp. So I've just got my mini UV lamp here that I'm using, and it seems to be setting the resins, the UV resin, quite nicely. So just waiting for the, so of course that hasn't quite come out because it's set now and I haven't got a full cover on, but I'll probably do something on the back there to fix that if I can. So just waiting for these to set. They should be set by now. It's still a bit sticky, so we'll leave them for a little bit longer. I need to set these ones, and here's what I've done with that bezel. Sticks to the tool. So what I've done is, see how the tape is below the, see how it sits out? Well, I've tried to get the tape below that to see if I can get a better seal on it that way. So we'll see how that works, because otherwise what happens is, I'll just get this one, it overflows, and I don't know if you can see just there, I've had to cut all that away, and now I'm going to have to drill that hole back in because there's all resin built up in there. So I'm going to have to sand all this down to get all that excess resin off, because that just overflowed that, and so it just isn't right. So we will sort that. Okay, let's turn these over and do the backs, which is a metallic. So, and we're just, it's mainly on these cats. So I'm just going to, on the back, just colour those in. just so that it hopefully will hide. And we're going to colour that all in, even though it's only to colour the white spaces, but just so that it doesn't sort of look too much, we're just colouring it all in so that it looks better on the back as well, because we want the back to look almost as good as the front. So we've got that bit. As I said, we just need to do some filing on that one. So let's have a look at this one. Okay, so there's the little cat in a teacup. They're not great. I wish I'd known about my lamp a little bit sooner. That's a bit of an overflow, so I'm just going to have to tidy that up a bit as well. So just see if we can tidy that up a bit. There we go. Give it a bit of a clean up. There we go. So it's not bad. And these can be used as necklaces, or you can just use them as key rings. So it's up to you. So this one here, just peel that off. And then we've got the fox. Now he's come out really quite well. Just a little bit of overhang there, but not much. It'll just scrape off. So I quite like him. I like that colour. That's a good choice on colour. We're going to try again with this, just to see if we can get a better seal on it. The only problem with this lamp is it doesn't turn off, so I forget about it as I'm doing stuff, but hopefully. UV resin, it sinks, so you could have the mould full to start with, but as you go along it then starts sinking down. So what you generally do is you put another layer on at the end, and that also helps to do what they call dome it. So put a bit more in, just into there, just get that to there. Sorry, the UV lamp is causing issues with the lighting, so I might just do the UVing off the side there. That sticky stuff is actually very sticky, strangely enough. Right, let's see. I will look at. Oh, that's what I was going to look at. So that heart is too big, I think, for these. Yes. Well, you could still get away with it. See, I mean, you could still get away with that because, sure, it's overhanging, but it still fits. So it doesn't have to sit inside the bezel, I suppose. Probably better if it does, but it doesn't have to. Okay, we're looking at some of these round ones. Maybe that one. Oh, there we go. There we go. So that's the failed one, and that actually doesn't look too bad. So we could glue that into there, and it makes just for a bit of a different necklace. This is an oval one. It should be there. So we've got that one. Just there. What I might do is place those on to the backs, and then you can actually see when we go to turn out the epoxy resin projects that we did earlier. You'll be able to see then just how they come out. So I might do that. Okay, everybody, it's the next day, so it is demo day. So these are the finished jewellery pieces. So I've got that one there. I just made some, it was sort of like a little round, but I didn't have a backing for it. So I just decided to put it onto this teardrop one. So that's that one. So there's that one. There's the heart. So the backing was a little bit smaller than the actual mould, but it still sits nicely on there. So there's the fox. That one. There's my teddy bear that I made that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with, but we'll decide at some point. So you can see once they're all made up, they look a lot better once they've got sort of the backing bezels and things on them. So there's the cat and the teacup. Right, so now we're up to demoulding what we did yesterday morning with the epoxy. So let's try the axolotl. I'll just have to carefully do his feet. We don't want to lose any feet if we can help it. Okay. And there is the axolotl. Now he's obviously not a shiny mould because he's not shiny. We've got a bit of build up in here, so we're going to have to cut and just sand those slightly, but he's quite cute. Quite cute little axolotl. Right, let's have a look at some of these beads. So we'll go here, so all we're going to do is just pop it straight up and pull, and then it comes off. And then we can just pop that back down. And again. So I've got squares. Just quickly pull those out. So you can see the colours are quite neat. So these glow if you... so some of these are going to need a bit of trimming. So you can see all the colours there. And then we've got the rounded ones. So these are a much nicer sort of common bead, which is the rounded bead. The only thing is they do have a very, very small hole at the back there. But the mould has different sized holes. So there's your very small hole, then there's your medium hole, and then there's your really, really large hole. So probably more of these two, because it's going to be hard to find something that small to thread these onto. I know my keychain ones are going to always take these two. These ones don't fit because I bought some spacer gems and they were that size, so I know that they don't actually fit. So I will probably only use those back two, not so much that front tiny one, for future. So I'm just going to get the last lot, which is it's sort of a bead, but it's more of a, it's almost like a skateboard wheel. It's not, but that's what it's like. So you can sort of see the cylindrical, but not quite. It's hard to describe, but still, I mean, altogether you can see that that's had a bit of overflow. So that's definitely going to need to be cut up and done cleanly. So there we go. And that was only a half full, so we've got a half bead, which is just there. So, which you can still use, so that's all right. Now we have, let's turn out the teddy bears and rabbits. We'll just move the beads off to the side, and let's do a little teddy bear. Oh look, he's got his paws over his eyes. We'll put some colour into this just so that it brings up the pictures better, because with it all being one colour, you of course can't see, well, especially with the one with the paws over his eyes. I mean, you can see it, but it's not really clear. So I might actually use some of my marker pens and actually just colour these up a bit to give the colours. So, because there's now going to be quite a few beads, and of course I am going to continually make beads and just add to the container. So I'm going to use a bigger container for that as well. So then we've got, I'll just push these off to the side, just over there. So we're going to tidy all these up and put them all away. So now these are the molds for the things like this, for the necklaces and things. So again, they're just going to be like plain. So we'll look at them when they've on a bezel, but otherwise we can probably use them for other things. So they're almost like pebbles, aren't they? They're really nice. Okay, so the last two things I've got are my cats and my bear. Now, the bear was probably going to be hard to get out of here. Yeah, I can see that because it's hard to even get started. So I'm wondering if we do the cats, because the bear is going to be very difficult to get out of here. So we're just going to run our finger around to try and get a bit of air and release. And then we're just going to try and... So you can see he's very tightly in there. So we just run our finger around to get a bit of release, and then I'm just going to try and... So this is why we would have had to have waited for him to fully set, because otherwise he is now going to be, if we were doing this when he wasn't fully set, we will have now repatterned him completely and squashed his head. But he is fully set. So, and there he is. So again, I'll probably just do some little black of the eyes and something perhaps for the mouth, and there is a little heart down there, and I might colour that in as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to embellish all these, and then I'll come back with another video and show you what they look like when they're embellished. So here is the cat. So the idea of the cat is that they can hold a paintbrush so that your paintbrush isn't down on your mat, and so your paint isn't getting all over your mat. So we've got 3 cats here. We've got that one, and our multicoloured one, which is proving to be a bit difficult. Here we go. And that one. So there's the 3 cats. So you can see, multicoloured one. Rainbow cat looks really quite neat. Okay, and then we've got the brown metallic-y looking one, and then we've got the purple. Okay, so as you can see, this the beads make a really nice keychain. It's gonna need to be trimmed a bit more, but still it'll take a lot of work, so I can do that at some stage. I've just put little faces on the little teddy bears. So we've got this one here who had a little heart on his tummy, and then I've just put a little face on just so that you can see it a bit more clearly. And then we've got this teddy bear, which I put a face on, and I also stuck one of those embellishments on, and that's the little ice cream cone. The axolotl, we just put his eyes on. I don't have a fine pair of scissors or a small craft knife, which I'm going to have to look at buying at some stage, just so that I can tidy some of these up. They may need to wait until I can get that. So with the bezels, we've got them there, which they come out, they look quite nice. So I'm going to need to get some bigger ones and some smaller ones, because some of the ones I did out of the mold I don't have bezels for. You can see here it doesn't quite fit. So we've got these ones which fit really nicely. I love the effect of this, where you can see the patterning of the bezel underneath. The different coloured bezels can be making an even better effect. I've got some where the bezel is bigger than the piece, so I'd have to UV resin around the outside of that, which I just don't think it's going to look that 100%, so I'm not happy with that really. And then ones where the bezel's smaller than the piece, and again it doesn't look 100%. So I'm going to have to buy some bigger bezels, and I'm going to have to buy some smaller bezels, just to try and get it where I can get these to fit nicely, like these ones where they basically fit into the bezels perfectly. So they definitely look a lot better when they fit into the bezel perfectly. So of course these are like, it's not quite glow in the dark, but it does the same sort of thing. If I expose it to a UV light and then I turn the light off, these are all gonna illuminate. So they will look really great as necklaces if you wear them at night. So on that note, we've just got the bear there, just the little heart and the faces. Okay, on that note, if you could like and subscribe, and if you want to be notified when I put another video up next weekend, then if you could hit the bell icon. So have a good day. Bye.